Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. This side Priya Bhatia, and in this specific video we will be starting our discussion with respect to the multi-layer neural network. See, I think in the last video you already have watched it till the very end, and we have observed that okay, we have perceptron. It will be able to do the classification task in a brilliant manner as well, but there exists some problem, right? If let's say we will be having a non-linear functions, that is where the architecture of perceptron or the way the internal working, I think now we know what's the mathematical intuition behind the same, is struggling, and that is where the need of this multi-layer neural network comes into picture. Now, major reason of exploring this architecture today is to capture the non-linear relationships. So today we will see that how, with the help of a multi-layer neural network, it will be able to take the non-linear, I would say, relationships, right? What is the internal intuition behind the same? All of these things we will try to understand. So without wasting any time, now let's get started. So now let's try to understand in a lot more depth about MLP, which is nothing but multi-layer perceptron. In the last video, I am expecting that you already have understood the core idea behind the perceptron, right? Uh, Always remember, these videos which I am curating should be learned in a sequence. If let's say there is someone who is not at all aware about what a perceptron is or how internally the working of perceptron will happen, then it would be very, very difficult for you to understand the architecture or the internal working of multi-layer perceptron as well. So please make sure that you will be able to understand it in a lot more detail with a great understanding. Okay, now what we have observed, if let's say we will be having this kind of a architecture where we will be having two classes, one belongs to maybe red data points, another one belongs to maybe green data points, right? So we want to classify these two boundaries, we want to classify the red and the green one. And what we will be able to observe over here, that this classification is not a linear one. That is the major problem. And when we're talking about a simple perceptron, it will be able to curate maybe some linear boundary like this, maybe something like this, maybe something like this. But obviously, it will be very difficult for a simple perceptron to curate something like this, which is nothing but you can say is a curve. And this kind of decision boundary is what we are expecting currently to classify the, I would say, green class with the, I would say, red class. So in this specific fashion, we need to understand that how these things will be done, right? What is the whole idea behind this? What is the internal intuition behind this? What is the principles behind that, right? For that, what will happen is we will try to work upon, first of all, a simple perceptron where we are using the activation function as sigmoid. Let's say we will be having input value IQ and CGP. I think this is the example I have given in my previous sessions as well. That let's suppose that we will be having, two fields available in my data. One is the intelligence quotient level. Another one is, let's say, the CGP of that person. And let's say we are dealing with a classification task where we will be having two classes with respect to whether the placement of that person will happen or not. So either the answer will be 1 or the answer will be 0. So maybe there will be a score out of 10. Maybe you can rate IQ level, and out of 10 you can rate the CGPA part. And if let's say you are saying that a person is having a great IQ and great CGPA, definitely the chances are very high that he or she will be able to get the placement as well. And if let's say a person is having lower IQ and lower CGPA, chances are very high that maybe it will belong to a 0 class. So let's say this is a class belonging to 1 and this is a class belonging to 0. So what is happening is we will be able to get the linear value of z, which is nothing but w1 into what is the value of CGPA plus W2 into what is the value of intelligence quotient plus bias into 1, and this is what we will be able to get as the value of z. Now we will apply this function of z, and for now we are applying a sigmoid function. Now sigmoid function is nothing but 1 upon 1 plus e to the power minus z. What this sigmoid function usually does, this is what we are calling it as an activation function, and all those people who are from machine learning background, right, they are already aware about this sigmoid function, because in ML stuff we will be having something called as an algorithm, which we called as logistic regression. I hope you already have learned about this, right? Logistic regression, where the same activation function is being used, sigmoid activation function. So this is a sigmoid activation function. The main purpose of the sigmoid activation function is to evaluate the probability. And as per the threshold, if let's say the probability is more than 0.5, we are saying the answer will be 1. And if it is less than or equal to 0.5, the answer will be 0. So this is how basically I would say the binary classification task is happening, or the decision boundary will be created. Now, I hope that this specific line is something which we are calling it as, for this case, a best fit line, which is basically classifying the points as 1 and 0. Maybe all these points are more than, I would say, 0, and all these points are less than equal to 0, right? This is how basically the classification will happen. So it's nothing but as a linear equation line. For example, I can showcase you this practically. For example, there is one platform called as desmos.com, where we can basically visualize the graphing part. For example, let's say you will be having some equation, 2x plus 3y plus 5 is equal to 0. So you can see that this is the kind of a line which we will be able to get, right, in this specific plot. Now, if let's say I want to say that this is the best fit line, if any point lies above that, means if there is a value which is, let me draw it over here, more than 0. So 2x plus 3y plus 5 more than 0. So you can see all of these boundaries lies above that line. So this is a one class, maybe a positive class. A negative class will be where we will be having something like 2x plus 3y plus 5 less than 0. So you can see in this specific case, right, let me, it will be 2x. So you can see this is a green line, right? This is a green line. So all of this is a main point, right? Above that, blue one is a positive class, green one is a negative class. Same thing I'm trying to showcase you over here, right? So we will be having a one line, z is equals to, this is the equation of the line which we will be able to get over here. We can plot, and accordingly we will be able to get an idea that whether it's a positive class or a negative class, or whether the placement will happen or not. But the problem is that we want to create a curve which is a best fit line, or I would say line should not be there, curve should be there, right? So because it's a non-linear function, so how can we create that? That is where maybe there is an idea of multi-layer neural network. So what we will do is we will try to create two neurons over here. Both of them will be able to create a linear boundary. Both of them are having a sigmoid function, which is basically classifying the class as 1 or 0. So in this specific case also, we will be able to create a specific linear boundary. In this specific case also, we will be able to create that. But now your question is that, Priya, what will happen at the end of the day? We won't be able to classify it properly, right? So after this, what will happen? We will try to superimpose, I would say, these two lines which we are getting. We will try to superimpose these two lines, these two curves which we are getting. And finally, we will be able to get this kind of a curve, right? So one line will be this, another line will be this. So we have two different architectures, different lines. We have superimposed it in a one graph. And after that, we are applying the process of smoothing. So here what will happen? We will smoothen our graph, and that is where we will be able to get this kind of a curve. Make sense? So this is how basically we will be able to classify the points between green and the red data points that we have. So what will be happening over here in this specific architecture, with the help of this principle, we will be able to include non-linear, I would say, non-linear functions. We will be able to include non-linear data points, or we will be able to create non-linear decision boundaries. Whatever you want to convey over here, I think my point is clear to everyone, but basically I want to convey over here. So in this way, we will be able to include the non-linear decision boundaries. Now it can be any number of neurons, it can be any number of hidden layers to entertain or to include the complex data points. So if I want to understand the complex pattern of a given data, so the only way out over here is that we will be able to maybe increase the neurons that we have within a hidden layer, and we can also increase the number of hidden layers as well. All of these things, that how many number of neurons we should take within each hidden layer, how many number of hidden layers should we have, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. All these things are hyperparameter, which we can get as an optimized value with the help of a given data that we have. So it's a separate technique altogether, which we will discuss in the upcoming sessions. But for now, what you have understood over here, that maybe we will be having, let's say, the input value, maybe let's say this is x1, this is x2. We will be having some hidden layer over here. Now this will be able to give the appropriate result. So everything is linked, and if let's say it's a single output part, so what will happen is this is the weight W1, this is the weight W2, this is the weight W1, this is the weight W2. And again here, if you want to like use some different convention also, you can use that, right? Maybe W11, W21. So basically what will happen is in this hidden layer H1, you will be having this H1, H2, and then this is the final layer. So what is the value of H1? So it will be W21, and here I'll take it as W12. Similarly, this will be W22. So what will be the value of H1? The value of H1 will be x1 into W11 plus x2 into W21. The value of H2 will be equal to x1 into W12 plus x2 into W22. So in this way, we will be able to get that linear boundary. And now we are trying to superimpose both of the results. And in the y-axis, we will try to take further weights. Maybe let's take it as W1 dash and W2 dash. There will be a weight. So the value of y will be what is the value of H1 into W1 dash plus what is the value of H2 into W2 dash. Definitely, there will be an activation function also which we can include before this output, right? Maybe this will be z, there will be an activation function, and then we will be able to get the value as y. So in this specific manner, what will happen is we will be able to get the final result. Maybe if it's a classification problem, it will be 0 or 1. If it's a regression problem, it will be maybe the house price value. Be it any form. So always remember, when we're talking about this multi-layer neural network, the main application of this specific part or this specific portion is in specifically, I would say, regression and classification. So in both the ways, in both the things, these specific multi-layer perceptron will be useful, right? So in this specific manner, we will be able to, I think, accomplished our task in terms of understanding the multi-layer perceptron and its need. So the basic need or basic application is to capture the non-linear relationships which my single layer perceptron won't be able to capture. That's the whole idea. Now what I will do over here is I will try to showcase you. For example, if let's say I will take a single hidden layer for now. So what will happen is, if you remember in my last session, I have showcased you that to create a non-linear decision boundary, a single layer perceptron was not able to create that. It was very difficult. Now, if you will be able to see, I have just added one hidden layer with the two neurons, and if I'll just change the epoch, you can see that somehow the classification is happening, right? If you want, you can also change the count of the hidden layers, and you can see that how the results will be happening. So at least now you will be able to observe that somehow it is much better than what we have got in the previous discussion, where we will be having a single layer perceptron. If you want to add further, you can definitely add that. One last thing, this is the overall idea about multi-layer perceptron. That's the first thing. Even the activation function, you can change it to sigmoid, which we were discussing earlier. So now you can see that this is how basically we will be able to get the different green and, sorry, not green, blue and orangish classes pretty well. That is something which we will be able to got over here. Now, another thing which you will be able to observe over here is that we have other activation functions as well. For example, ReLU and 10H. These are the activation functions which is basically used further to get the non-linear decision boundaries, right? So in the upcoming video, I will try to dedicate one special video for activation functions, where I will talk about both the types, linear as well as non-linear. So if, let's say, you will be having a lot of non-linear specific base data points. So in this specific scenario, how basically ReLU or 10H will be helpful, that is something which we will try to discuss. So this is the overall idea, and with this I think we can end today's video. I hope that you will be able to get a better understanding of how the things will happen in case of multi-layer perceptron, and specifically why it is required. With this, bye bye everyone, and I will see you all in the upcoming video.